Hello, this is Colleen and welcome to Excel Basics. This video we're going to talk about um, formatting the font in Excel. Okay, so first make sure that you're in the Home tab and looking at the font section of the Home tab. We're going to start playing around with these buttons right in here in this video. Okay, so you'll see here that I've gone ahead and put in some data for us to use while we're explaining these different buttons. Um, I haven't done any kind of formatting as far as fonts and so forth. So we're going to play around with that. So first of all, I'm going to go ahead and select these rows because I don't like the way that the font style is. So here you'll see that you can select the drop down menu and it will preview all of the different font styles that you can pick from, and there are a lot to pick from. Standard issue would be Times New Roman, but we're gonna have a little fun today, so let's pick something a little bit more creative. Alright, let's try. Oh, that's an old one. Let's try Poor Richard. And now, if well, even if you're young like me, size 11 font is small. Normally, when you read a book, the font is size 12, and I'd say that's probably the smallest that you're ever going to want to go, unless you're really trying to fit a lot of stuff on a single page. You really don't want to go too much smaller than that. So I'm going to go ahead and set this to size 14, and you can see now that a lot of my stuff is not fitting in here. You can also, these buttons right here are if you want to change the font size just by clicking one size smaller, one size bigger, without actually having to do the drop down menu and picking the size. It's just kind of a quick button for that. Alright, so I'm going to click somewhere in my spreadsheet here to unselect all of my rows. So let's say that all the titles up here, I want them to be bolder. So I'm going to select this row and I'm going to click right here for the bold button, and you'll see that makes all of them a little bit thicker font. And then let's say I want all of the professor names to be italicized just cause. And then I'm going to double click right here so that my width of my column A is going to be wide enough to fit all of the names in it. There we go. Okay, so you can see that this menu right here is for the font style. This is for the font size. This is to easily adjust the font size for whatever cells you've selected just by either decreasing or increasing. Now these buttons right here are to change the styles to be, or the fonts to be either bold, italics, or underlined. So say here's underlined right there. Okay, and you can always select that one and then re-click that button to have it unselect whatever font style you have. For example, if I decided that these being italics is not really what I wanted anymore, then I could unitalicize those. And there we go. Now, this button right here is a lot of fun. So let's say I'm trying to make this chart for a poster to go on somebody's door, or just to email it everybody. Because if you don't realize, these little grid lines are not visible when they're printed. Those are just for visual effects in the program. For example, here's the print preview, meaning this is a preview of exactly what's going to get printed on your printer. There are no grid lines, so that makes it a little hard to follow. So you gotta like stick your finger over there and kind of follow along the line. Okay, that's for Dr. Ayala. Well, we like to make things simple. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and select these times and data cells. And I'm going to drop down the menu for the border button right here in the font section of the Home tab, and you'll see that you've got lots to choose from. So I'm going to pick a thick box border. Actually, no, I'm going to pick the all borders right here, which means it'll do a grid through all of the selected cells. Now you'll see I've got a nice little grid line going through here that will show me all of the different lines. So if I go back to the print preview, you'll see now I've got grid lines in here. It'll make it a lot easier to read. Now let's say I didn't actually want the whole grid lines. Let's say I don't want any lines, so I can reselect those and click no border. So now it's back to normal, or how it was before anyway. So let's say all I wanted was these to have a nice big bottom thick border right here. So now I've got like a title section kind of sectioned off. And let's see here. I can select these to only have a bottom line. You see? So I'd only have the horizontal lines, I don't have vertical lines. What I'm actually going to do is do this real quick. And you can see when I do the print preview, now I've only got the rows lines. So some people might prefer that. So it's an easy way to do that. And then I can select all of those again. And I can do the drop down menu again for the borders, and I can do a nice big thick box all the way around it. So I'll go to the file, print preview. That looks a little bit more professional. Makes it a nice way to kind of format your fonts and text and so forth, and kind of play around with it. Now this button right here is called the fill color button. That fills the background color of the cells. So for example, I can make all of these have blue, and I can do all the professor names to be, oh here, let's do this. Let's do every other one. So I'm going to hold down my control button, and as I select the next row, so that it'll select all the ones that I am clicking on here, not necessarily all of them. And then I will click a nice light shade of gray. So that makes it really easy to find what I'm looking for here. Let's do this. Let's do my borders again. So now it's really easy. You've probably seen this a lot whenever you're looking through large charts of numbers. For example, if this had been a lot more than just the 10 names, if this had been a whole bunch of names, then that would make it really easy. That would make it really easy to kind of follow your line here whenever you're looking at the paper. See, so you can go Dr. Kennedy and you can follow his information all the way across a lot easier now that it's got the alternating colors in there. And you could have done any color you wanted. You could have, any of these colors will do the background color. Now let's say that you wanted to do certain times, make them stand out a little bit. So for example, you wanted all the times at 2 o'clock. So again, I'm going to click this one and then hold down the control button when I click the next one, and keep holding it down as I click these different times here. starting at 2 o'clock. Okay, so let's say I want those to stand out a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is I can either bold those or I can select the actual text color to be different. So we'll do red. So you'll see the difference between the text color and the fill color. The fill color filled in the background color, so it filled in the whole cell to be that color, whereas the text color only changed the color of the type to be a different color, and I could have picked anything. So, for example, all the times starting at 2 o'clock on this day are in red. And that's all the buttons in the font menu that are easily visible right there. You can also do the drop down menu right here, and it'll give you even more selection. For example, you could have done strike through, and here's a little preview box of it, or you can unclick that. You could have done double underlined. You could have done a bold and italic here rather than selecting here. You could have done it here. You can change the font color here. You can pretty much do what you would have done here, but with a little bit extra. Fill colors like we did before, that kind of thing. But for starters, you're not really gonna need to know all of these things. For starters, the buttons that you find here are probably enough. But if for whatever reason you're looking for something specific and you don't see it here, just know that you can click that drop down menu button right there, and if you can find it in here, whatever it is that you're looking for. It just might take you a few minutes because it's quite a lot. Okay, and that will conclude our short video on formatting in Excel for fonts.